Hi, everybody. We are
Hi.
going live here. Hi. We are talking today about easy InstaPot recipes for people who've had bariatric surgery. Say hi if you're joining us. It looks like we have Deborah here. Hi, Deborah. Hi, Nancy.
Hi, everybody.
So good to have you guys here. And those on Facebook, we'll see if we're live on Facebook. We'll be checking that.
Looks like we
So
are.
wonderful. So who all out there cooks with an Instapot or has an Instapot? Let us know. Love to hear
Y-
from you guys.
Yeah, because honestly, I don't have one. So I was telling Brenda before that I'm going to be a little sponge for this one and just absorb all
I
the
don't have one.
information.
Turning my speaker down on my phone.
Was that Facebook?
Yeah.
Yeah, like I was saying, I don't have one, so I'm really excited to see what this is all about. I know that the only thing I really know about them is that it's kind of similar to like a crock pot meal. You can put it all in one pot, but it's supposed to be faster, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think the main things with
Live on Facebook.
I just did the same thing. My bad.
Instapots is, what why we decide. Number one, I think a lot of us lead busy lives, and it helps to kind of cook more quickly because it's pressurized. There's pressurized cooking. A pressure cooker is basically it's a sealed chamber that traps that generated steam and cooks the meat a little quicker or the food a little quicker. And then as the steam builds, it increases, driving that boiling point up higher, like to 212 up to 250 degrees. So it's much quicker. So number one, quicker meals. Number two, it's wonderful for cooking different kinds of protein because it makes it so, and like things like green beans, certain types of vegetables, because it makes it so tender. Number three, it's easier to cook because of all that steam and pressure with a lot of extra fat. You can get less fat in your meals. And then something like mine here, this Instapot, is easier to cook with for families. You can just pour
Yeah.
everything in there. It's really quick. So one pot meal recipes make it easy, kind of like a crock pot, only a little quicker. So you don't have to cook it all day. You can just throw things in there and have it ready in about 20 or 30 minutes. So those are the biggest things that I would say with this demonstration that we hope to kind of highlight. We hope to highlight some recipes that'll make it easy for you guys. We have 3 or 4 of them, and we have a handout for this too, which Brittany's going to share as well. And so let's kind of get started. I want to see who all says they cook with it. You want to read some of the comments, Brittany?
Yeah. I just wanted to say real quick, we have a couple people new here that I have not met, so welcome. Thanks for coming. Brenda and I do these weekly lives every Wednesday. Well, I shouldn't say every Wednesday. Typically, they're on every Wednesday. We're just going to. We have a lot of guest speakers coming soon, and with the time changes, sometimes it might vary. So, but anyways, I wanted to quickly introduce myself. If you're new here, thank you again for coming. Like I said, we do these weekly events. We also do monthly support groups. My name is Brittany Patterson, and this is Brenda Hain. Myself, I started off with ProCare. I've been with them for a little over a year and a half now, and actually just about a year and a half. And I started off in the marketing department, and I still do some marketing things for the team, but I have been moved to an account representative. So if you ever have any questions during the lives about our products, I'd be happy to answer any questions you have because our sponsor is ProCare Health, which is a bariatric multivitamin company, and that is the company that we both are affiliated and work for. So just wanted to say that if we have any new people, Brenda, do you want to do a quick intro before we get started?
Sure. For those of you guys who don't know me, my name is Brenda, and I'm actually putting on here to our link for our handouts today, and that's going to be on our Crowdcast.
Yes.
We'll add it to Facebook later. So my name's Brenda. For those of you who don't know me, my background basically has been with bariatric surgery. well, in the beginning it wasn't, but I worked for emergency departments, 2 or 3 of them for about 20 years, working in emergency medicine. Changed over to bariatric surgery back in 2000, I believe 2012 or 13. Had bariatrics. I was a bariatric coordinator for a weight loss surgery program, so I worked with patients pre and post op, helping them along their journey. I also had weight loss surgery back in 2013, and it's been incredible journey for me as well. So all of this is kind of dear to my heart for that reason. And basically just love sharing content. Like I do some coaching stuff on the side too. I love helping empower people to be able to make decisions that work for their lifestyle. So this is about you. If you're listening, this content is for you to go out there and lead the best life, the healthiest life that you can, so that makes a difference in all those people's lives you touch. Because, the best that you can be, it just spreads. If you're joyful and happy and content, it spreads joy to other people as well. And the same as if you're sad, look at what you're spreading today. Are you spreading joy? Or are you spreading something else? So my goal is today just to help you be a little healthier today with your diet. And also, whenever you're cooking healthy, if you're cooking for a family, like a lot of us have people that we live with. I mean, Brittany's married, I'm married. My kids are grown, so they're not off. But I know making big meals, it's helpful because, not only if you put everything in a pot like this and make it easy, you have, for me and Jeff, we usually have leftovers because I'm not cooking for 4 people. How about you, Sane?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, it's just me and my husband. We actually, I made soup yesterday and made too much, so we're gonna freeze some of that and probably have that for dinner tonight. I just wanted to say, guys, real quick, I did share the handouts in the chat box in Crowdcast, and I also shared it in the comments on Facebook. So that should include the recipes that we're going to share with you guys today, if you wanted to take a peek at those before we get started. Or follow along while we're sharing, whatever you guys want to do.
Yeah. And it looks like we have some comments, too.
Yeah.
You want to read some of those?
Sure. I'm going to read the ones on Crowdcast first. Let's see here. Deborah. So it looks like Deborah has an InstaPot, and she is very familiar with it. She loves hers. Hi, Stacy. Hi, Catherine. Tawana? I hope I'm saying that name right. That's a pretty name. It reminds me of like a princess name. Hello, everyone. Hi, yes. Deborah says she cooks all kinds of beans with it and soup. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It reminds me a lot of a crock pot, and that's what I make most of our like soups and stuff in. So when I said I don't have one, not sure what to cook in it, thus I'm excited to hear the presentation. Yeah, we're going to share with you guys here soon. Do chickens all the time. Yeah, I bet chicken's really good in it. It probably doesn't get very dried out. Like Brenda was saying, it stays nice and moist. Okay, we actually have a question. Christina said, well, first I want to say hi to Rhonda and Enid. Sorry. Christina said, sorry, quick question. I was supposed to take 2 classes, but how am I getting verification? I completed the class watching these. Oh, she's probably talking about the standards. Brenda, can we pull her email address?
I can. So I just
Okay, I see.
HOEHN, yeah, HOEHN, my first initial B at ProCareNow.com. So if anybody is logged on to our Crowdcast channel, I'll be able to pull that information and do verification. So just send me an email at that email address, and I can verify your attendance. And if you're attending on Facebook, we will get our Crowdcast link over there at some point. Brittany may have already posted it. And if you log on, it'll show that you attended this on our Crowdcast, and I can show attendance there. So, yes.
Mm-hmm. Kim, we already did one on air fryers. So for people on Facebook that can't read these comments, Kim said I would love a class on air fryers too. So we did one. I'm actually going to find the link and I'll share it right now so you guys can watch the replay on that.
Thanks, Brittany.
Yeah, no problem.
And while she's doing that, I'm going to go ahead and get started with all of this information, because it's a lot. You know, whenever I first got my.
Oh, you're breaking up, Brenda. She'll come back here in a second.
Air fryer on. I think it's because I'm sharing my screen on a different net.
I don't know.
Can you hear me, Brittany?
Yeah, I can now. It might not even have done it for them.
I think it's because I changed screens. I was looking at my my manual, and maybe it popped it off. So I won't do that. I'll just talk. So guys, for those of you who don't have an InstaPot, or you're kind of a beginner, please forgive some of these just very easy things. But to me, these were really important whenever I first started using air fryer. So number one, this is what mine looks like. There's different varieties. Mine is actually called an InstaPot, okay? Instant pot or InstaPot. You'll hear it said both ways, okay? And I'm going to kind of bring this a little closer so that you guys can see it. And I'm going to move my camera back a little bit and this so that you guys can see a little bit more what I'm working with, my buttons and stuff. I'll kind of hold it up, okay? That may not be the best. I may have to just basically move my whole table so you guys can be a little closer to me, okay? I'll bring my cameras up. So kind of arrange that a little better so you can see, and I'll kind of tell you, since you can't really see the buttons so much, I'm going to probably just tell you what they say. Okay. So it did freeze for them too. I think it's because I was changing screens to look at the manual directions, but I'll just wing it here. Okay. So first of all, this version right here, for those of you who don't have an InstaPot, there's lots of different buttons. Don't let it get y'all worked up and thinking, you know, when these people get like a new iPhone, and you have like a million different options.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, what happened? I know my mom was always like, I just want a flip phone. My dad, I want a flip phone, you know, just something you flip open and you actually talk on. This
Even
is
the
actually
updates
pretty
too.
easy. Yes, it's actually pretty easy. There's manual settings, so you can just use that too if you don't have to use all the other buttons. They're trying to make it easy, though. I will tell you that. So here we go. I'm gonna kind of do this. So the one thing is on the top, this kind of moves. I don't know if you guys can hear that.
Yeah,
It has
you can hear it like locking.
Yes, so it locks. You can lift off the lid, and the inside of the lid has a seal. This seal right here basically is to kind of keep it pressurized, and then it has a valve right here on the top, okay? See on the top here, you can kind of see the valve, okay? When it's in this position right here, it is closed. When you do this, move it to the side, it opens, okay? So you want to make sure that it's kind of in that middle position when you kind of start, okay? You see that okay?
Mm-hmm.
The reason why is if you have it, and it even says on the top here, vented open or vented closed. I'm looking here. I'm reading it upside down. It's hard to read because it's the same color as the actual print here. But when you start, you want to have it in an upright position, okay? And the reason why that's important is that's what's going to keep it pressurized, okay? So that's the first part. And I'm going to kind of lean this InstaPot over so that you guys can see the inside of the InstaPot, okay? That's what the inside looks like. This right here is a pan that comes with it. And then one of these little grates like this comes with it. It's called a trivet, I think. But those trivets set inside there, okay? So the InstaPot's kind of cool because a couple things. You can actually use it to saute. I'm looking at different cameras, so I apologize, guys. But you can actually use it to saute things, okay? So like before you actually use it as a pressure cooker, you can turn it on a saute setting, like to fry onions or fry bacon or fry steak or whatever you want to fry before you sometimes, or like if you're doing a chicken, rotisserie chicken, sometimes it just gives a little texture. If before you pressurize it, you saute it. So if your recipe calls for that, you could put a little non-cooking spray or whatever you want to use in there, and you can use a saute setting. You do that before you used it as a pressurized cooker. Okay. There's there's actually different lines in here. I don't know if you can kind of see that. And this one right here says max, and then half. So this max setting is you would not want to fill it any fuller than that, because if you fill it fuller than that, it can cause, when it gets pressurized, it can cause a problem.
Yeah.
I don't know what kind of problem, but it just says do not fill fuller than 2/3 full. So maybe it explodes outside the pot. I don't know. That's what the recommendation is, not to fill it fuller than that little line on there. Okay. So one thing when you are cooking, this little thing is super helpful because water is your friend. When you're using a pressure cooker, you want to actually have some moisture in there to pressurize, because steam is what is going to do a lot of your cooking. So if you're cooking something that requires, doesn't have a lot of extra, I'm going to say moisture in the recipe, like chicken broth or water or whatever, you're going to want to add some. Okay. Most recipes will tell you that, but I just want to make sure you're aware because it is really important. So this little thing allows for food to sit on top of that if that's needed. Like if it's not a soup and it's more like cooking some kind of meat or something like that. Okay. So far, any questions before I continue?
I just wanted to say hi, Janine. Janine's on Facebook.
Oh.
I just wanted to say hi.
Hello. And also I see too, I don't know if she's still here, but Emma Razor. Emma, hello.
Hi.
She actually I know Emma. Hi,
Oh,
Emma.
you do?
I don't know if
How
she
fun.
remembers me, but I remember her. If she says anything, she's still with us. Also, it looks like there's some comments over here. Enid says, I have the same one. Thank you, Brittany. And then Connie says, it will definitely spill over. Been there, done that when my husband cooked on it. So don't fill it too full, in other words. The fullness factor is a problem. But really, it's quite a bit of, if you guys can see this, like even if you're making soup, that's enough for a family of 4, family of 6, maybe, depending on how much you guys eat. So anyways, okay, so I'm going to kind of keep going. And the next thing I want to talk about here is some of these settings. So I'm going to actually see if I can bring it up just a little bit closer for you guys to see some of the settings. Okay. So this first one here says soups and broths. Can you see, Brittany, at all, or is it blurry? I can just talk about them.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to see.
I'll just talk about them.
It's just because there was a glare, I think, from the light. It's a little shiny.
Well, I'll point and just say what they are. So this one says soups and broths. Okay. This next one says meats and stews. This one here says cake. So you can actually cook a cake in this, guys. Yeah. This one here says eggs. Oh, and I actually purchased a little egg poacher thing just for this presentation. I'm so disappointed. So what it was is a silicone little basket that you placed inside here. I'm so disappointed in myself. Place it in you put this in here. You don't cook with that without that in there. And you put the silicone container in there. It was about like this big. And it had 4 little silicone holes in it. Could probably find it I found mine on Amazon to make poached eggs, our first recipe that we're going to be talking about. And you actually just set it in there. So it makes it really easy. So that was another little thing. So you can make eggs. Go ahead, Brittany.
I think Janine shared that actually, like, I know what you're talking about. Those like little silicone egg cookers.
Yeah.
You can use them. Some of them you can use in the oven and air fryers too. And I think Janine told me about that. Yeah, I purchased the same egg cooker last week. Found mine at JCPenney. That's what Janine said.
Okay. Cool. I had never seen them before, but they're pretty cool. And I'm pretty sure you could use it in an oven because it's set up to I think 400 degrees. So
yeah.
The other thing is saute. So that's the little button I was talking about. Like if you want to take and maybe use the bottom of this as a sautéer. You would not use the pressurized lid. You just leave the lid off, but you could use it as a sautéer. Okay. And then here, well, let me go over here on the other side and just talk about these buttons. So this little button right here is rice. Okay, so you can make rice in it, brown rice or white rice. I know bariatric surgery patients may not be something that's always recommended right off the bat because rice kind of absorbs a lot of extra fluid and it can make you feel overstuffed and very uncomfortable. So, use rice with caution, but there is a rice button, multi-grains. So you could do like quinoa, you could do different kinds of beans, like anything that's dried and like you're wanting to cook it more thoroughly with, again, you're going to have to use some liquid in there. Porridge. Okay. I don't know if I've ever made a porridge. I'm sure it's reminds me of Goldilocks and the Three Bears is what it reminds me of.
Honestly, it's not too far off from like oatmeal, isn't it?
Correct. Probably. I mean, I would say. So you can use oatmeal. And one of our recipes is oatmeal.
Yeah.
Or steel oats.
What does using those buttons do? So Kim has a question.
Uh-huh.
What does using those buttons do? It sets it at a specific time or?
So I believe I believe most of the time I just use the manual button, but I believe it sets it at a specific time and temperature cooking. So that is helpful. And I'm going to go ahead and plug mine in here in a moment so that it can kind of warm up and I can kind of show you what it looks like when it's on too. Got a button right back here. Okay. And we can try some of those buttons and see exactly what it shows. I'll be honest with you, I'm not an expert at InstaPots. I've probably used mine maybe 20 times or something, so I'm not an expert. But I usually use the manual button.
Okay. I think that's what Enid, I feel so bad. Is it Enid or Enid? Manual gives 30 minutes unless you set it up. So I think what they're saying is that it's going to default to 30 minutes unless you add more time or lessen more time. And that's kind of, honestly, that's how my air fryer is set up too. When you click start, it's already automatically in there for, I think it's like 15 minutes or something. And then if you want more or less, then you like using the popcorn button on your microwave. Yeah.
Yeah. So different kind of settings, kind of maybe temperature, and then also just time, probably more than anything is what I would think. Because I think it pretty much heats to the same temperature from what I understand. Gives you a specific temperature and time. For sure time. But it does, there are settings over here for the manual, and I'll kind of explain that here in a second. I'm looking to see if there's any.
I don't see any on Facebook.
Okay, I'm going to kind of keep going then, Brittany, if that's okay.
Yep. We're already almost halfway done. So.
Okay. So there's these adjust buttons right here. So if I want to, it's not going to do it because I don't have the lid on and I'm not pressurizing it. But you can actually press this manual button right here. Okay. And by using the manual button, you can use this adjust button, these positive and negative signs for higher and lower. Now, most of your recipes, and we're going to kind of go over a few recipes to kind of talk about. Most of your recipes will give you kind of a time setting, but we also have a guide for when you're cooking like different vegetables, different meats and things like that, a guide of how long to cook them. So we're going to provide that with you guys as well. It's a handout. Okay. Along with your InstaPot, usually you'll have recipes and you'll have the same guide. A similar guide. I would think most instant pots would have some type of directions with them. So start there if you get one and just kind of go from there. It makes it easy. There is a keep warm button, which I've used before too. So basically you're going to close your valve. You're going to make sure you have fluid, make sure it's not too full. Okay. Those are the big things. And then you're also going to make sure that you have your valve turned to the center section to make sure if you're not sauteing, but you're actually cooking on it, you're going to want it there. Okay. When the food is done, you can vent it and let out the extra air before you attempt to open it. That's the safety thing. Like you do not want to open it if it's pressurized and it's steaming, because it's dangerous. So,
Rachel.
It looks like Rachel says she overfilled hers 2 weeks ago, and I don't recommend. I'm sure it's a mess. It's kind of, it could be messy to clean up, I'm sure.
I would be afraid it would like explode because it's, you know what I mean? I don't
Pressurized.
know. Yeah.
Growing up, my mom, we lived on a farm, and my mom used our pressure cooker all the time. She not only used it to cook like steaks or different kinds of meat, but she used it also for canning. She had a really big one, like it wasn't, they didn't have these InstaPots back then, but she used just one on the stove, and it had a little pressure gadget at the top, and it would jiggle whenever it was cooking and pressurized. It looks like Catherine says, I believe that the settings should also control the pressure. Going back to school science class, ideal gas law, PV equals NRT. I hope we don't have to know that equation to cook with it. Thank you for sharing that, though. That's great information. Like I said, we're kind of learning too. We wanted to do this one though because I feel like it is kind of a newer gadget. Probably within the last 2 or 3 years, I think it's become popular. I got mine not this Christmas, but I think the Christmas before, or for my birthday, which is right around Christmas. So, okay. So you know what? Let's just kind of move into recipes, Brittany. What do you think?
Let's do it. Yes.
Let's do it.
No other questions on Facebook. I just looked.
Okay. Do you want me to share, or do you want to share screen?
Oh, I can do it. Yeah, because it might freeze on you again. We don't want that.
No. And thank you so much for saying that. Enid says, you are amazing. Thanks for doing this in the community.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for being here. You guys are a part of it too. Deborah says, I've never had an issue. Yes, I can see.
Do you want me to zoom in a little bit, or how is the visual?
Yeah, if you could, just a tiny bit, it might help.
Like that or more?
I think that's good.
Okay. Okay.
So this very first recipe, guys, is the poached eggs recipe that we were talking about. And it's super easy. Basically, it takes 5 minutes of prep time, which is really just, probably not even that long, just really taking your eggs and emptying them into the silicone container so it does require a little adjunct purchase, and again, I'm sorry I don't have mine here to show, but you empty the eggs, each of them, into each of the little pre-containers, and then it cooks for 2 to 5 minutes, total time 7 to 10 minutes. And so your only calories is really your eggs. So it's a pretty good little breakfast. Those you could also, which Brittany and I's done recipes before. They're on our
the website.
Crowdcast, our ProCare support group page. And we actually have other recipes that are kind of egg-based, which are kind of like the little egg bites, muffin bites.
Yes.
Really, really good. And you could use something like that, like put a little spinach in there, onions. You could put cheese. So you could add a little extras in here. You don't have to just put the eggs. Brittany, I'm going to have you move the screen up a little bit here just to kind of show what the ingredients are.
Oh,
so
yes.
Obviously you're going to want that water. So the water goes in the bottom. So like if we're talking about our pot here, you guys can see me really small there probably. You're going to want to put the water on the bottom, put your little trivet in, and then put that silicone egg holder in there on top of that. So you place the trivet in the bottom of the inner pot, pour the water, the silicone egg poachers, you put that in. You can spray them. You can spray them with non-cooking spray that may help them from sticking. Mm-hmm. And then basically just put it in, and then very carefully put the silicone thing inside this so you're not spilling the eggs out. That would make a mess. And then you can push the steam button. Now mine does not have just actually it does have a steam button, and adjust the time for 2 minutes. So then there's a little button right here that you go up or down. If you guys can see, you probably can't see me because I'm so small, but you can use the manual buttons to adjust the time. And if you want a very runny egg, you could do 2 minutes. If you want it more
like
firm, yeah, all the way done, then you could put it in more time. So when the timer beeps, then remember this little pressure gadget on top that I kind of talked about. If you guys can see me, you just release that, okay? And then allow that until you can no longer hear any air coming through that, because you're going to actually hear the air and you're going to see steam coming through there. It's going to be like, shh. And then when you give that enough time, then I would very carefully just take out the silicone pouch and remove the egg from the silicone containers, and then you can put them in your serving dish. Now, I would say you probably actually could even do extra of these up and then put them in your refrigerator and treat them like a boiled egg. However long, you could keep those in the refrigerator too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I think that's it on that, Brittany.
Do you want me to just go on to the next recipe? Or...
Sure,
Okay.
absolutely. We'll see if anybody has any questions on the egg recipe or if they have any comments. I don't see.
Oh, Margot, that's a really good tip. So she said, use the handle of a wooden spoon to release the steam so you don't burn yourself. That's an excellent idea.
Yeah, because it does. I'm not kidding, guys.
I was kind of wondering about that.
It does. That little hole right there at the very top, it comes right through that. And I mean, it's pretty.
So you probably don't want your hand anywhere near the top of that.
You want to make sure you do it from the back, or
yeah.
As she suggested, you could actually use, I don't know if all these InstaPots have the same kind of setup here at the top, but you could actually use the spoon down here so you could, and also, that's a great suggestion. Kim says, also don't release the steam with your InstaPot underneath your kitchen cabinets. Yes, because I have done that. What I like to do is actually, I don't know if you guys can see this. This is not my kitchen. I'm actually at, a makeshift kitchen. It's my son's kitchen because I don't have good internet at my house. But like, if you can see this, there is a vent right above this. I like to set mine where when I release the valve, there is a vent setting where you can turn on your fan and it'll go right up into that. But yeah, it does cause a lot of condensation. And if you were to repeatedly use it under your cabinets, I can see where it could cause some wood damage to your...
Yeah, or other things that are plugged in too. Probably be cautious of that. Mm-hmm. You don't want a bunch of moisture near an outlet. I don't think that doesn't sound like a good idea to me anyway.
No.
So maybe be careful where you have your Instant Pot plugged in at. A PSA.
Yeah, absolutely. So next we're going to kind of go on to the steel cut oats. Yes. And guys, this recipe here, so there is a difference between how your oats, I guess the nutrition factor of like regular, the little packages of oatmeal you purchase versus steel cut oats. Basically, it's just that the steel cut oats don't have any extra sugar in them, and they're just basically plain, but they do have a lot of fiber. They have antioxidants in them. They're super healthy. It's a good breakfast, and it's a great way to get carbohydrates. Sometimes people think carbohydrates are, quote, a bad thing, but they're not. Our body does need fuel to run. If you can think about food as fuel, food is fuel, and you're fueling your body for your body to be a well-oiled machine, and for it to be at its maximum ability to function properly. And carbohydrates give us that instant energy. Proteins and fats are just a different type of energy. If you can just think of all of that as just energy. So steel cut oats is a great way. You're also going to get some protein in with this recipe here, 7 grams of protein, 30 carbs. You're also going to get in fiber, which fiber is a fantastic way for your food to process and move through your gut and your intestinal tract more easily, so that, especially for those people who have problems with like constipation and things like that, it's pretty common after bariatric surgery. It looks like Kim also says could use Fairlife Shake, 30 grams of protein for the almond milk, and add protein powder. Yes. You know what?
Yeah.
These recipes, were you going to say something, Brittany? Sorry.
Oh, I was just agreeing with Kim that you can protein it up if you really wanted to go all in, use, sub out anything. I think we even kind of put that at the end in here, modified slightly. So that means Brenda found this recipe and she modified it to, however she modified it. But yeah, you guys feel free to make your own changes. That's what's so nice about sharing these recipes, is that everybody has, little things here and there that they prefer. So like this recipe calls for almond milk. Kim's saying in place of that, use a Fairlife shake, which is, I guess it's a protein supplement. I have not heard of that before. But it's 30 grams of protein. So she's saying instead of almond milk, use that and up your protein game. And then you could even add some more protein powder into it too.
100%, and then think about that. That is like with the already 7 grams of protein, you're getting a lot. Now this recipe here is for, we're saying 1 serving, and
do you want me to scroll up?
Yeah, or could you make it smaller, like the picture smaller, just to have more in the,
like that?
Okay. So that we can see the whole recipe, Brittany. I'm so sorry.
No, that's
I apologize.
Okay.
I'm thinking that you know exactly what I'm saying whenever I.
Like that?
Okay, yeah, just for a moment, and I'm hoping they can see that. But basically, you guys can. There's other. So this recipe calls for 1 cup of steel oats, 2 cups of water. It says it should have how many different servings. That's what I was looking for. It should be at the very top there, Brittany. If you can make it just a tiny bit smaller for just a second. It's 4 servings. Okay. So basically you're getting 1/4 a cup of steel oats in there. And I think for a bariatric surgery patient, this is probably going to be doable. I don't think it's going to overstuff you for a 4th, because altogether there's going to be 3 cups. So you're going to have less than a cup serving of food here. Once this whole recipe is made, with being a total of 4 servings. And you can refrigerate this too, guys, so that you can use it for additional meals. So you can, it's kind of like food prepping, or if you have a family and you want to make it for your family. But 1 cup of steel oats, 2 cups of water, the almond milk, obviously, as Kim mentioned, you could use other things. She has here the 30 grams is for the whole 11 ounces bottle, which you wouldn't use. Mm-hmm. So you may not have the total of 30 grams of, if you're using Fairlife shake, but you would have additional protein in there. And you can always add additional protein powders too. You could add some protein shake mix if your if your protein shake allows for baking with it. Some protein shakes do and some don't. I'm getting a little off track here. Sorry about that, guys. But pinch of salt, vanilla extract, cinnamon stick. If you don't like cinnamon, you can leave that out. And then optional ingredients would be things like dried cherries, ground cinnamon, toasted almonds, sweetener, or anything else you want to just add in there that you really would like in your recipe. And you don't have to cook everything. You can put dry ingredients into your steel cut oats after you cook them as well. So here I have refrigerate your leftovers, and non-dairy milk is best because dairy milk can scorch. So with the Fairlife shake, I would just be aware. Brittany's getting all crazy here with the scrolling.
I dropped my mouse, it jumped ship, so it went all crazy. That was so funny. Okay.
So basically, guys, you can refrigerate your leftovers. You may have to just be aware that if you do substitute something for milk, that because of the high pressurized, it may turn out differently. Try it though. Heck, what you got to lose? Just a little bit of oatmeal. That's all. Try different things. See if they work. Some things are going to work. Some things aren't. But it's always fun to try to make it its best. So that's all I have really on that recipe. And we're going to move on, and you can stop right there, Brittany. That's great. So this one here, guys, this one I actually made the other night, and I meant to take pictures. I'm kind of sad with myself. The only thing I used, I know, I'm like, I'm using this. I should be taking pictures. But instead of using chicken, me and my husband, we had bought a huge 20-pound, 22-pound turkey for Christmas that we hadn't made. So we baked the turkey. I know.
That's a big bird.
We had a lot of turkey because it's just me and him. So what I did is I baked the turkey, and then I actually took the turkey and we cut it up. And then I have a vacuum sealer. If you guys have watched these shows before, you know how in love I am with my vacuum sealer. It's a love relationship. If you do any kind of meal prep, I'm going to just tell you a vacuum sealer is amazing, especially in the summertime when you got all those fresh fruits and vegetables. You can freeze a lot. But I froze a lot of it, and then I took some of it and I substituted the turkey for the chicken in this recipe. But
yeah,
mine was not raw. Like this recipe calls for raw chicken breast, but you could use fully cooked already. It's not going to hurt anything.
No.
Yeah.
It still will stay nice and moist, I'm sure, too.
Yeah. Enid said, yummy, I need to buy a vacuum sealer. Oh my gosh. I'm not kidding. It is. They have them at Walmart, but you could probably purchase them anywhere. And they have bags that come with them. It's a little bit different than using just like a Ziploc bag, because a Ziploc bag still allows a little bit of air in there. And when you freeze stuff, you know, you have a little bit of that ice that kind of develops when you're freezing foods, vegetables, that type of thing. And like literally food will last so long. And you get it out. Like a lot of my like green peppers and onions and stuff like that I freeze from like my garden, my squash and zucchini, they come out like almost perfect. Like it doesn't, obviously they don't have the same consistency because you've frozen them, but they do not have the ice crystals that form like a lot of the other products. So it just takes all that air out. Okay, getting back to the recipe. I get a little off track. Here we have, I'm going to just read the ingredients off. Now, if you are like me, and I don't know if Brittany's like this, I like to just throw in every single thing that I can think of that's raw in my refrigerator.
Or it's getting close to its,
Yes.
Or it's getting close to expiration. I actually did that last night. I had just a little bit of spinach, and I was like, this is not going to be good for much longer, so I threw it in.
Yeah, I mean, it's perfect. And, you know, one thing we kind of talked about is some of those fruits and vegetables that you have that are getting ready to go bad. Use your vacuum packer and put it in your freezer. I use the spinach that way sometimes when it's getting close. Okay, so here we go. And I'm not going to name off the amounts because, guys, just put in what you feel like you want to put in. You can put in more or less of some of these ingredients. This is just a starter. But things like the onion, well, first of all, your meat, whatever you decide for your meat. Here we have chicken, onion, garlic, sweet potato or a white potato. I would recommend cutting it up in cubes, and you can peel it or leave the peeling on, whichever you prefer. Celery, frozen corn, frozen peas, or you could use regular, canned if that's helpful. Green beans, cabbage, tomatoes. You want to cut those up. Chicken broth. And I don't like the skins on mine in soups, but you could leave the skins on tomatoes either way. Chicken bone broth or chicken broth. And then whatever kind of seasonings you like in your soup. Salt, black pepper, garlic powder. I love using like parsley and basil. I don't have all those herbs listed there. Thyme, anything that you have. Red pepper flakes, that would be optional. I would just say if you like red pepper, I do. My husband doesn't, so I have to be really not very generous with that. And Brittany, I'm going to have you help me by scrolling one more time here.
I was just about to.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
So basically here, and Enid said food saver vacuum sealer bag and roll combo is at Costco for $39.99, and I'm going to buy it. Oh, you know what? I don't have a subscription to Costco, but I'm going to check that out because I need one. I think those bags, it does kind of like a whole package comes. You can buy a whole package of the vacuum bags in all different sizes, and I think that's what she's talking about. Mine's a food saver too, my vacuum packer. Okay, so basically what you want to do is, guys, you just take this pan here and you're just going to take out the trivet, okay, right here. Going to take that out. You're going to add all the ingredients in there, okay? You do not have to pre-cook your chicken or your vegetables, okay? Everything just gets added into this. Just simple. And then what you're going to do is put it back in here, and you're just going to put on your lid. And you're going to seal it. It's going to make some funny little noises. And then basically you're going to push your button. So this recipe says press manual. So we would press the manual button right here and see it goes to 30. And this says cook at high pressure for 4 minutes. And then release the pressure manually. So what mine does is it automatically, when I set it on manual, it set it for 30 minutes. I could have did minus. I'm going to have to press stop. Sorry, guys.
Oh, it's okay.
I'm going to just unplug it because I don't want it to start cooking. Cook at high pressure for 4 minutes. Release the pressure manually as soon as cooking time is finished. So very, very quick, quick cook. I could have adjusted this time to less time here. So it's a pretty fast little recipe. Doesn't take much time, but it does take it a moment for it to get up to that high pressure setting. So it's going to take it a little bit to get high and for it to actually start cooking. Hope that makes sense. Mm-hmm. Seems awfully fast, doesn't it?
It does, but that's good. Do you want me to scroll down?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think there might be a note or two at the bottom, or that's just the photo and recipe credit.
Yeah.
The recipe. And then I think below this, I think you put, did you put we got one more recipe, guys. We're going to go over. We got enough time? I think we do.
Oh, yeah, we do. And then we have the cooking timetables are next after that.
Okay. So the next recipe I have is salmon with garlic, potatoes, and green beans. So it was recommended we try to make an all-in-one recipe. I feel like the soup is kind of an all-in-one recipe, meaning that you can just throw everything in there and you have a whole meal. Yeah. But we also wanted to make one recipe. Change the camera here. We also wanted to make one recipe where it was more of a meat, vegetable kind of thing. The other one just has everything all combined, kind of like almost like you would a casserole or something like that, the soup recipe. This one here is kind of like you could actually have things separated out. So this is a salmon dinner, and it has garlic, smashed potatoes, and warm greens. So a little lemon zest and paprika on this can go a long way. And I'm getting a guest in my house, and it's my son. He may be joining us here. So it looks like a couple of these people have had their InstaPots or maybe their vacuum packers. I'm not sure. 2 years, never got out of the box, 10 years. I'm not sure if they're talking about their vacuum packer or their InstaPot. You have to put that thing out.
Yeah, either way, you're going to have to get it
out. So this recipe, guys, it's 4 servings. Takes 5 to 7 minutes prep time, 4 minutes cook time, total time 14 minutes. Super quick. Fairly low in calories. I mean, 411 calories, but you have 33 grams of protein in this. I mean, it is amazing. And a bariatric portion could be half of the serving size. So if you're wanting to have less calories or you're wanting less serving size, it could be cut in half, I believe. So here we're going to be using, I'm just going to read off the ingredients, guys. You're going to just kind of get all your ingredients out and ready. So 1 1/4 pounds of small red skin potatoes. I love those things. You can purchase them at the grocery. They're little bitty round
like
potatoes.
A little bag. Yeah.
Yes. 4 tablespoons unsalted butter, kosher salt, 5 to 6 ounce skin on center cut salmon fillets, 3/4 to 1 inch thick, paprika, grated lemon zest, or you could use lemon wedges, or I like buying those little liquid lemon. I don't know if you guys have seen those before. They're like a little bottle of lemon juice.
Yeah.
They're lemon juice, and it keeps forever. Sometimes my refrigerator, if I purchase lemons, sometimes they go bad before I use them. So that's kind of a helpful thing. Garlic minced, and then 4 cups of mixed baby spinach or arugula, okay? So let's go to the directions. So basically what you're going to do is put the potatoes in the bottom of the Instant Pot. So I'm going to take this out and like, let's just pretend we're doing this. Basically, you're going to take your trivet out. Oh, I already have mine out. And you're just going to put the water in the bottom of this. Okay. So 1 cup of water and 2 tablespoons of butter, just water and butter in the bottom of that. Then you're going to put this thing right. Also salt and pepper. So you have a little bit of those on there. And then you're going to put the trivet in. And then you're going to put your potatoes on top of that. Okay. Okay. And you can actually put the potatoes under the trivet or over the trivet. If they're small enough, you can just, either way. Okay. The water, it may be more helpful to put them under because they're going to be more immersed in the water, but it's not 100% necessary.
Yeah.
Next, Next, you're going to rub the top and sides of the salmon fillets with your little mixture of paprika, lemon zest, and salt and pepper. Okay. Place skin side down on the rack and put on the lid, making sure the steam valve is in the sealing position. Okay. And set the cooker pressure for 3 minutes. So again, we put the salmon on top of the trivet, this thing here. Okay. And then we're going to put the lid on and we're going to put this pressurized thing right in the center and cook it for 3 minutes. When it's finished, turn the valve to the side and let it vent. Okay. Then you're going to remove the salmon and rack and set the cooker to the saute at normal heat. And then when the potatoes start, it kind of moved on. When the potatoes start sizzling and the garlic, okay. So next, basically, you're going to take the salmon out. Okay. So you're setting the salmon to the side, and then you're going to do the saute setting. So you will not put the lid back on. Okay. And you're going to take and basically kind of saute your potatoes, your garlic, and the butter that's already in there. Okay. And smash the potatoes with a fork until chunky. So once the potatoes will have already been mostly cooked, you're just kind of sauteing them a little bit and then you're smashing them in the pot. Then you're going to turn the cooker off. Add the mixed greens to potatoes and stir until wilted, 1 to 2 minutes. Okay. And then divide the salmon and potato mixture among plates. Okay. Or serving sizes. If you're doing meal prep, you could make 4 containers and meal prep or 8, depending on what serving size. So any questions?
What's that? Oh, it was 4 servings. Okay.
It looks like Stacy says, is there any way to copy that into the chat section? I'm not sure because it's on a PDF. We can try it. We'll see what we can do here. And what's the name of the Facebook page? It is the ProCare Health. I'll write that in here. We also broadcast simultaneously onto the ProCare Health Facebook page, if that's what you're asking. So we will try that.
Stacy, I can't copy the actual picture because it won't let me upload an attachment into the chat. But I did just post the link. So if you click that link, it'll take you straight to the handout.
Hopefully that's helpful. Okay. Thanks, Stacy. And if you can't, some people can't sometimes open a PDF. If you can't, let us know, and we might be able to download it as a picture file, and we could help you by sending it that way or something. If you can't open a PDF, sometimes certain computers are crazy that way. This next thing here is InstaPot cooking table. So basically, if you get the handout here, you're going to have the cooking tables for different types of vegetables. Asparagus we have here, beans, broccoli, and look at you guys probably can't see that because it's so light on this handout because it's on the computer here, but it's like 1 to 2 minutes for a lot of these. Like really, literally almost any vegetable is just within minutes that you can have, your vegetables cooked, which is so fast, especially like green beans. Green beans is one of my favorite things to do in this. You could put, like, one of my favorite things is putting those little red potatoes or small potato chunks with onion and green beans and a little bit of butter or seasonings. And it cooks so good, especially fresh green beans, because fresh green beans sometimes are just extra crispy, if you know what I mean, and it just pressurizes them. But this little handout that we have, the cooking table times, actually came off my InstaPot guide. And so, Brittany, if you can scroll up, there's all different types of things. There's vegetables, potatoes, beef, chicken, all different kinds of recommended cooking times, eggs, and all of that.
Sorry, am I going too fast?
No, you're fine. And then below that, we have different kinds of grains and beans, lentils, that type of thing that you can cook on it. So you can actually take us off screen if you'd like with the with all of that. This guide you guys is provided, so feel free to access that later. I'm going to kind of change my camera here a little bit.
I'm not missing anything on Facebook too. Nope.
So tell us, what is some of you guys' favorite things to cook in the Instapot if you've tried it before? Let us know. One thing that I got really experimental with, I could not believe it actually worked. My mother-in-law gave me the recipe. Spaghetti in an Instapot. You actually add all of your ingredients. Guys, this is crazy. All your ingredients right into this. Your everything raw. Your raw hamburger, your spaghetti sauce, your noodles, mushrooms, whatever you put in your spaghetti, and you like literally pressurize cook it. And I can't remember because I have to look at my recipe, but like literally all in one recipe, and it turned out wonderful. I didn't have to have all these different pans for cooking. It was really kind of fun. The noodles were a little bit different consistency because of the cooking preparation. They just taste a little different, but I thought it was good. My husband liked it. It looks like we have some red beans. Oh my God, I bet beans would be so delicious because it's kind of hard to get beans, I think, certain types cooked at the right, where they're not too crunchy, if you know what I mean. Hard boiled eggs, that actually sounds good. So I'm kind of curious. I guess that would be like the poached, only you just put a full egg in there without the silicone basket. Let us know. Christina says, I've never had one, but we'll get one soon. Enid said homemade chicken soup. Margot, carnitas and homemade baked beans. Oh, yeah. Tell us about carnitos. I'm not familiar with that. Do you know what a carnito is?
It's carnitas, and I believe it's pork. Yes, it's pork. Carnitas is usually... It's usually like in tacos, I would think. But yeah, it's just like a special shredded pork.
Oh, that sounds really good. And Karen's, where she put, I start chicken wings in there with some seasoning in a steamer basket. It tenderizes them. I add more seasoning and finish under the broiler to crisp them up. Oh my God, I need to try that. Would that not be so good? That sounds delicious. I almost wonder if you could almost do it too in there and then put them on the grill and just kind of like give them that grilled taste, or we have a pellet grill. So we use our pellet grill all the time and give it a little extra flavor. And Rachel says, I just saw someone make ribs in theirs this week. Oh, that sounds good. What you laughing about over there?
I love carnitas.
Are you thinking about them right now? Neither
Yes.
one of us has probably had lunch yet, so that sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
And ribs sounds really good. I bet it'd be really tender ribs. Probably wouldn't have to be all day on the grill like usual either.
Me too. I love tacos de carnitas. Yes. Yeah. Now I'm just thinking about tacos. So.
Oh, rotisserie chicken. Yeah, rotisserie chicken. There are recipes out there. Guys, there is tons of recipes on the Instant Pot website. Mm-hmm. And if you go to Pinterest, oh my God, you can find thousands of instant pot recipes. It's just about kind of like just trying different things. It looks like,
Oh, we're getting close to an hour, Brenda. I just wanted you to know for Instagram.
Yeah. Has anyone tried to make a cake? There are Facebook groups. Tim has a lot on Instagram. I'm not sure who Tim is. Tell us who Tim is. There are Facebook groups for instant pot recipes. Yes, there definitely are. I found a bunch of those too. There was one for bariatric surgery patients. I thought was interesting. And I tried to get the administrative person to come on with us, but she wasn't able to make it. I thought that would have been really fun. Somebody very experienced with making instant pot recipes. And TikTok. Oh, TikTok. I never thought about that. Yeah. But yeah, Brittany's right. We're right at an hour, so we're going to cut this off. But we want to thank each of you guys for being here with us. We hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. And we also want to thank our sponsor. ProCare Health is our sponsor who brings us all together. So thank you, ProCare Health. Check out ProCare Health. Check out ProCareNow.com to order a free sample if you've never tried our products. We are known for our 1-a-day multivitamin and calcium products. We have some protein products, some new protein products coming in the mix. So continue to stay with us. Do you have anything to add to that, Brittany?
No, ditto.
Okay.
We'll see you guys next week.
Thank you so much.
Bye, Rachel. You have a good week too.
Yes.
Bye, everybody.